up, guys? Welcome back to yet another video. My name is Frank Torres. I'm a guitar player based in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And today I'm actually playing a little bit of bass with this pedal right here, kind of showing it off a little bit. Let's kind of like dive into what we're seeing, what the features are, because quite frankly it is packed with features, which I think is really cool. I've been a huge fan of the Two Notes audio engineering people for a couple of years now. I've actually got their Captor 8. I absolutely love that and use that all the time. And I've used a couple of their plugins, fantastic stuff. But today we're talking about the ReVolt Bass, which essentially is their line of amplifiers with some cab simulation built into it. But pretty much it's kind of like an amplifier in a box type situation with quite a bit of control. And besides the amount of control that we get, we actually have a tube in it, which, for all of you guys that are into tubes, this is an actual amplifier, and it'll actually crank like a tube amplifier, right? That's what makes it special. So let's talk about kind of like the layout a little bit, right? We've got a clean section, we've got a vintage dirt section, and modern dirt or modern drive take on this side. What's really cool is that it's pretty much an SVT in a box, that traditional punchy SVT sound. We've got the dirt, which is pretty much just starting to hit that tube hard enough to get it a little bit cranked up. And then the modern drive I find is very interesting because the voicing is much more mid-forward. So essentially, kind of like what you will find in modern rock, modern metal, progressive metal, which is really neat. On the side of the pedal, we've got a couple of really interesting features. I mean, we've got headphones, which really cool. Aux in, if you want to practice just with this pedal, you can absolutely do that. The cab simulation, so you can turn that off or keep it on. I was using it on this video because, obviously wanted to make sure to have this be kind of like the rig in general. We've got the 4-cable method. So this switch, I mean, we're not particularly using it in this video, but that's essentially if you've got an amplifier and you want to run this as a preamp to kind of like override the preamp on the amplifier, you would do the 4-cable method, and then you would turn that on, and that kind of tells the pedal kind of like how it's going to be working essentially. On the back, we've got in, send, return, out, pretty standard, and a DI or XLR output, which is really neat. That's what I actually use to record. We've got a MIDI in and out, which if you want to have it controlled with MIDI, if you have like a MIDI board, if you want to have this switched in or out with Ableton or any other software of choice, you can absolutely do that. We've got a ground lift, and in terms of the power, it's 12 volt, 600 milliamps. So, a bit power hungry, not a problem. If you have a board, you can probably power this out of a Crux or out of the Walrus Canvas stuff, or like maybe even by combining 2 outlets on some of the other power supplies out there. But yeah, it's a really neat box. It's very well built. You can actually feel the quality. It looks really neat in terms of like the actual construction and layout. It's very, very clean. Let's take a look at the actual pedal, so you can kind of like take a look at that. Look at that tube. It looks really cool in there. But yeah, let's take a little bit more of a listen to it. I'm playing through my Sadowski Metro Express PJ setup, and yeah, let's just take a little bit of a listen to it. Yeah, that was the ReVolt bass pedal. Let me know what you guys think of it down in the comments below. I think it's really cool. It's got that punchy, tight SVT sound that we all know and love, quite frankly. I mean, I mainly use the HX Stomp and Quad Cortex or like the Parallax stuff for my bass recording needs. But it's really cool to have something like that here and actually, you know, kind of like play through it, right? Especially considering that it's got a tube and it doesn't weigh 100 pounds, right? That's always pretty neat. Nonetheless, hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. If you like this kind of format, please consider subscribing down below, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video.